So Keith.
So Ben, 15 episodes.
Man, can we just pause and reflect? So we're walking around Lady Bird Lake here in Austin, as we do, and you and I have been friends for a long time. We've been doing these walks for a long time, and we now have a podcast where we take listeners on these walks, and we have done 15 episodes, and this will be our 16th.
City of Austin. It's true.
Look at this, very meta. I'm filming you filming, and you're filming me filming.
Just
and
hold this shot for the next 36 minutes and call it a day.
On your left.
You're listening to DocWalks with Ben and Keith.
So today, well, I will tell you, today is a good day to reflect on the previous 15 episodes, but it's also just a good day to kind of have a walk and talk without a big agenda, without interviewing somebody or focusing in on specifics, because that's kind of how this whole thing started, right?
Well, the whole thing started with you, from my recollection, with you and I doing this without cameras, without recording it.
Without an agenda, just going on a walk.
Right. And it would, pretty much every time involve talking about our projects, the state of the documentary business, hearing about other people's projects, and at a certain point we were
complaining.
Well, lots of complaining about. We just said, well, why don't we record these? And I think, I want to teach again at some point. I think you love the idea of mentoring, not to put words in your mouth, but like the idea of the podcast sort of came in that spirit. Like, what if we made something that like the 20-year-old versions of us would have loved?
Yes. And here we are. I don't know if the 20-year-old versions of us
would still be listening.
But yeah, would be showing up or not.
So we're still two dipshits talking about birds.
Less birds every time, but that's only because my knowledge of birds is pretty minimal. It basically boils down to, look at that bird.
I had a friend recently tell me that in addition to reading history, one of the things that happens as you get older is you start noticing birds and talking about birds. And I said, oh, you should meet my friend Keith.
Yeah, he's getting older every day.
Every episode, that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh, there is a beautiful cardinal right there.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah. There's a cardinal and a grackle coexisting. The grackle got run off. Can you get him?
I got him. Although I think we scared them both away.
In 15 episodes, we have traveled to multiple states.
Yeah, I was going to say a recap might be nice because we went to Sundance.
Utah.
For
the time being.
That's right. It's soon to be moved to Boulder, Colorado. Is that right?
That's who won the challenge.
I did one in New York with Matt Wolf.
That was a great episode with Matt Wolf. And the thing that I love about that episode is that it was timed to release at the same time as Matt's recent work, Pee Wee Plays Himself. And so not only were we offering a great conversation with two esteemed filmmakers.
Well, one, anyways.
1.5, the minimum. But we did it in a timely fashion, which supported both the rollout of the film and offered people what I hope this podcast really does offer, which is kind of like a bonus feature sort of quality, right? They saw the film and they want to know more, or they're thinking about seeing the film and this is what pushed them over the edge. And so I think it's the only one that we've done that meets that criteria, but I'd like to be doing more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's well said, and I think that's something that we can get better at doing in the spirit of recapping where we are after 15 episodes.
Yeah.
My favorite episodes are the ones like Matt Wolf or like Jesse Moss and Amanda McBain, where we are interviewing directors whose films I love, and I get to just sort of pick their brains, bond with them, just spend some time with people who love the same things that I love. And getting to celebrate the art form of documentary and to just like take a moment and reflect on why it is that I continue to want to do this work is just personally very meaningful and gratifying for me. So that's my favorite part of doing this, in addition to getting to spend time with you, Keith Malin.
Yeah, well, that's good. I love spending time with other filmmakers and asking questions and learning about their process and learning about their projects. But my favorite aspect of it is when it's a true meeting of the minds and less of a formal interview, which is, you know, when you go to a film festival, what makes a festival, you know, so incredible for me as a filmmaker isn't always the sitting in the audience and watching the film unspool, or even sitting in the audience as the incredible Q&A at the end of the film. But to me, what makes them really special as a filmmaker are the in-between moments where you connect with other filmmakers, right? Over a beer or over a coffee, when you see the same faces 2 or 3 days in a row, kind of stumbling in and out of the same parties, and eventually you connect. In the Jesse Moss episode, Jesse talks about, we asked one of Ben's favorite questions, which is, what is the gateway drug film that got you into this work? And he came out with a left field option of Hardware Wars.
Yeah. And Gates of Heaven.
Sure, it was a twofer, and that was what was exciting to him. But what stands out to me was that Hardware War, you know, the Errol Morris film, foundational for so many people,
right?
And you know, high recommend. But Hardware Wars, rarely talked about in the esteemed circles of.
That is a deep cut. That's a very weird outsider art film.
A month ago, I shared with my 9-year-old son a similarly themed, less deep, but really incredible cut, which is Spaceballs. And he enjoyed Spaceballs as I enjoyed Spaceballs when it first came out.
Oh my God.
And it opened the door for various other conversations of space-related parodies. And before long, YouTube was offering us Hardware Wars. And I was excited to watch Hardware Wars with my 9-year-old, which without the journey that has been DocWalks, I don't know if we would have clicked play on that one.
Oh.
So Jesse Moss is impacting me. So anyway, that's my favorite episodes, are the episodes where we break down the formality of who, what, where, when, and why for our guests, and we get to a more meeting of the minds on more equal footing.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about these walks with you, is that we come into these for the most part with very little agenda. And even when we have an agenda for these talks, we rarely actually hit our marks.
Right.
Because it's easy to get thrown into categories left and right. That said, let's get back to the geographic principles that have made DocWalks 1 through 15 a reality. So we said Utah. We talked about New York City with Matt Wolf.
Let's see, we covered Doc Days that the Austin Film Society presented. We also covered South by Southwest, and we got a lot of filmmakers who were visiting Austin for the festival to be on the podcast, like Adam Balalo,
Charlie Shackleton, Kahane Korn Cooperman.
Thank you. And then with Doc Days, we had Averill Speaks, we had Sandy Dubowski, we had Jesse and Amanda that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's see, you are going to Portland soon, and you're going to record an episode in Portland.
We've got an upcoming episode with Reed Harkness coming up.
Which is a great episode.
You know, Reed is the creator behind Sam Now, which was on the festival circuit a couple years ago and played Independent Lens, and I believe he's up on Criterion. And so this is a little prompt if you want to go watch Sam Now before we surprise you with an episode with Reed Harkness.
Yep.
And come into it with that knowledge.
Everybody should watch Sam Now anyways. It is a beautiful film, and it's sort of the perfect melding of personal memoir as heightened by documentary filmmaking.
That's right.
It's really fantastic. And
it's incredible. And so we did an episode with Reed that is currently in the edit process. It'll be coming down the pipe in a couple weeks.
And let's see, we haven't been to Los Angeles yet, but that is forthcoming, and we've got lots of exciting people that we're going to talk to out there. Because I really like doing the travel episodes. It's kind of as a director who also makes commercials, I get to go to these different cities a lot, and it's really fun for me to figure out how to tack on an extra day or kind of slot in a podcast recording session while I'm on a commercial job. So that to me has been really fun. And then I loved going to South by and Sundance together, and I hope we get to go to some more film festivals and cover off on those. Like we could go to Tribeca. There's been talk of maybe going to Telluride.
Right. Well, Tribeca's a full year out, but what we could do before then is Doc NYC in November.
Mm-hmm.
I've even looked at maybe Gotham Week, which is the last week of September, first week of October. Have you ever done the, used to be called Independent Film Week, used to be called the IFP, now it is called Gotham. Have you ever participated in that?
I don't think that I have. No, I have played Doc NYC, played Tribeca, had a Winnebago Man premiered in New York. I mean, I've had lots of screenings in New York, just never been part of the Gotham.
Yeah. Well, that's, so there are all these great events that we could be doing. That's been one of the best parts of it for me in the last 15 episodes.
Is having an excuse to go out and talk to people or to participate in events that we normally wouldn't.
That's right. Get out of the chair, get off the couch, get out into the world.
And connect. Yeah, I think I feel that too. Like, as a working filmmaker, it's so easy to kind of get into a rut where I feel like I need to be creating that next idea or pushing, my development stage further along, and I can kind of get in a heads down, nose to the grindstone cycle, and that doesn't always lead to the best work.
Yeah.
Whereas getting out, doing something new, pushing myself to connect, keeps the creative juices flowing, so to speak. Let's look at where we are really quick. We're under an overpass here with the water streaming by. This is a really beautiful spot here in Austin. And actually, I filmed a scene for one of my short films called The Superlative Light right here.
You filmed on that ledge right there?
Right there, yeah. And it was a film about a fine arts photographer named Robert Schultz, who was temporarily unhoused and took pictures of the spot where he would sleep and live in this really beautiful way, and that series is what started his career, and he's now a successful working photographer. And
what is the name of that film?
It's called The Superlative Light, and we shot it, it premiered at South by, and we shot it in both like traditional 2D, and then we shot it also as a VR film, and so it's a 360 immersive experience. So we were taking you back to places like this where he slept.
He was a person experiencing houselessness.
Is that how you say it?
Unhoused?
I said unhoused because I feel like that's what I've heard recently, but I also know homeless is the popular.
Either way, he was sleeping under this bridge.
Either way, he didn't have a place to sleep, and he was making it up as he went along, and he was able to rebound because of his artwork, and I found that story really amazing. And then there's also this kind of second half where he discovered that there is the brightest light in the known universe that exists here in Austin, Texas, and it's in the physics department at UT. And so his next series of photographs after his homeless series was capturing the scientists working with this laser that is in the basement of the physics building at UT. And so we filmed that as well, and it becomes this kind of like meta story about he is on set watching us reenact these scenes from his life, and it's also in VR, and so you see him like in the background of all the 360 shots. It's really cool. I'm very proud of the film, and it's widely available. It was a Vimeo staff pick, and it was featured in Vice's Creators Project series, and so people can find it online. But yeah,
that.
I always think about that experience, shooting under or filming under that bridge right there.
I want to tack onto that experience, but first I'd like to frame up the city of Austin here and point out an answer to the earlier question, the Ann and Roy Butler Hike and Bike Trail is the official name of the trail.
Is the name.
And to tack on to Ben's sighting of one of his shooting locations, right here across the way, right where you can see this unique riverboat over here, directly underneath the overpass on that side of Lady Bird Lake, is a shooting location from the movie Tower. And one of the main characters in Tower, Houston McCoy, was posted up right over there underneath this bridge when he got the call about the Tower shooting. This is August 1st, 1966. And in his own words, he was hanging out in the shady spot underneath the Interregional, which is what they used to call this highway. And he was looking for a place to take a nap when the call came in over.
And he was a patrol officer?
He was, yeah. He was,
Okay.
Houston McCoy was an officer on patrol as part of APD. He was the first police officer on the scene. And that not only was the shooting location, but the actual location of that moment for him. That bridge, under the Interregional there of I-35, is one of my favorite spots in town.
And going back to what it is we love about doing this podcast, that makes me think of something that Kevin Wilmot said in our one of our most recent episodes. Is I asked him why he decided to stay in Lawrence, and he made this really interesting point that staying in a very small town where he basically can get around easily, and he has friends who know the area really well and are very well connected, enables him to make films in a way that he just couldn't do in an LA or a New York. And he makes the point by saying that one of his films that premiered at Sundance that he's most well known for, this film called Destination Planet Negro, which is this kind of wild sci-fi movie, he made that for $7,000. And largely he was able to do that because he lived in a place like Lawrence, Kansas, and he was able to convince his community that they could all band together and make this cool thing. And I feel that way about Austin. And we live in what is now a pretty big city, but it still has that sort of feeling where things are possible and we can get people together around a vision to go create a film or be in a band or put on a show of some kind. And that spirit is really strong here.
Well, that spirit is historically really strong here. It has become harder and harder to engage that spirit, as $7,000 will take you a lot less far than it used to, right? $7,000 is one of those like pivotal film numbers. Austin homegrown success story Robert Rodriguez famously.
Is that what he made El Mariachi?
El Mariachi was made for $7,000. Of course, it was shot south of the border, but conceived of and edited here in Austin and launched from Austin, and he's still got a major studio operation about 4 miles from here,
Yep.
the road at Troublemaker Studios.
And he's a great example of that same thing. He's working with much bigger budgets. Oh, whoa, check this out. Look.
What you got, Ben?
Look at that great big turkey vulture right there. Nestled in that tree, just waiting for its next prey.
Well, it's a little dead carrion, right?
Yes.
He's a scrounger and not a predator, but that's my 9-year-old will point out.
Oh, is that right? So he would be waiting for something to die.
That's right. Yes, he's not
not
going to
to
do the dirty
kill it.
work. That's right. He's more of a distributor rather than a content creator.
Wow, way to put it in indie film terms.
You know, I've got to keep this podcast relevant in any way I can, because not everybody is as into the birds I've discovered through errant sideways remarks below these many episodes. Yeah, so $7,000 doesn't take you quite as far as it used to, and like one of the things that made Austin such an incredible landing spot for kind of third coast artists and creatives from, really like 1970 through about 2010 was affordable rent. Mm-hmm. That was a place that you could come and hold down a part-time job and have enough time and enough hours in the day to create, to write, to conceive, to chase those dreams. and it was a legitimate option for people who didn't want to jump into the fray in New York and Los Angeles. I think it's still an option as a third coast location, but what I see from the young people moving to town that come sometimes through my shop to looking for work is that rents have really jumped, and the idea of being kind of a subsistence level creator, like working off of low budget, low income, and creating low budget work is not what it used to be. And so I think this new generation has a series of challenges. We've always got challenges in this business, but I think the upcoming generation has a series of challenges that maybe we didn't recognize at the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting to hear, especially in light of, you were talking about what's different since we started this podcast. To me, one of the main differences, and it's very exciting, is that the legislature, our state legislature here, just passed the largest incentive package for film production in the state's history.
Come make movies in Texas, they say.
Come make movies in Texas. And already, just in the last couple of months, our production company, The Bear, has fielded a request from a Disney Channel show to possibly come shoot here instead of LA. Mm-hmm. There is a Jigsaw production that is happening here that we're bidding to be involved in potentially, that chose here because of the incentives.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
already
that's to shoot here, to edit here, or to do both?
To shoot here primarily, and then they would take the edit somewhere else. But the production part of it, anyways, would happen in Texas, because part of the incentives, or actually all of the incentives, are dependent on the amount of money you spend in Texas. So to get the incentives, you have to hire people in Texas, pay for locations in Texas, spend money in Texas, and prove that you spend it here.
Yeah. That incentive program is very exciting. I've got a couple projects in the pipeline for the incentive directly, and I am using the incentive to incentivize out-of-state financiers, potential partners, to collaborate with me in Go Valley. One of the most exciting parts of it for us is the biggest piece of the incentive puzzle. Okay, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to check out this upside-down hanging squirrel.
Whoa.
I don't think I've seen anybody. Oh no!
Oh, you just moved, squirrel.
That was a good move, though. Respect, furry rodent. Respect. That's how I feel, right? Is like living in a third place. Sometimes you got to dangle upside down.
You got to hang upside down
to get that nut. Right? You got to reach for the acorn. Oh
my God! Hey, speaking of, let's flip around here. Do you want to go get up here?
Yeah,
and then
I want to get up here.
Okay.
But anyway, so Go Valley is currently looking to partner with people around the incentive. And like I was saying, the biggest percentage-wise piece of incentivized material in it is for post-production. And so editorial, animation, VFX, these are all services that Texas-based production companies can be providing, regardless of where the media was shot, regardless of who the audience is. And so that's something I'm personally trying to expand on, is Go Valley's VFX, animation, and editorial service offerings.
Which is very smart, because all of a sudden I think Austin is going to be very, and just all of Texas is going to be very sought after.
Yeah, and with that comes its ups and downs. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the industry responds to Texas. Texas is, of course, still Texas, and we are surrounded by Texas here in Austin. Everywhere you look, there's Texas. You're there.
They're everywhere.
But yes, that's a great point. That is a big change, and it's a big shift for hopefully our local economy and potentially the national film economy. I don't have a footnote to cite here, but my understanding is that it was in the 90s that Texas really kind of created the incentive game for film communities outside of Los Angeles and New York.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize Texas was
pivotal. And then in like there was a boom in the mid 90s when I was at UT and I was interning for places like MTV and other production companies here in town, and that incentivized period definitely helped build the crew base here in Austin and in Central Texas. But before too long, state legislators stepped back and they said, well, we've done our part. Where's the industry? Where is the industry going to go with it? And those incentives moved to our neighbors, right? In Louisiana and New Mexico. Georgia stepped in.
Big time. It's been Georgia kind of dominating for most of, the last 10 plus years?
Sure. The Marvel Cinematic Universe era of Georgia production.
But you know that...
Each. Somewhere in my mind there is like a very eager listener who is like real-time fact-checking us.
I hope we get to that point, although be careful what we wish for, because I think there's a lot of facts to be proven incorrect.
Well, one bit of fact-checking that we've been doing in the Go Valley office, thanks to Go Valley intern Luca, I made a request for him to go through every episode and pull up a list of every filmmaker that has been name dropped in the first 15 episodes.
Wow. Okay.
And every title that has been recommended.
Interesting.
And so we're gonna synthesize that list, and that's something I'd like to put out via our social media channels. And something that we haven't actually gotten around to so far in this podcast, but I am desperate to do, is a deep dive into some of those gateway drugs films. For me, it's 7 Up.
Oh, I love 7 Up.
And the whole series that kind of comes down the pipe. I would love nothing more than for us to be dedicating an episode or two to watching a film, dissecting it, talking about it, basking in the glow.
So 7 Up is your gateway drug documentary film?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of them out there, but I will, I'm always transparent about this. I wasn't raised with like a deep knowledge of documentary.
Me either. No way.
Like a 70s cinema, New Hollywood type of cinematic upbringing.
You did? Wow, that's very fancy. I was more John Candy and all of Chevy Chase's.
Well, there's an exciting John Candy documentary about to come out.
I know. I am very excited about that.
We need to connect with those filmmakers. But yeah, so I didn't grow up watching a ton of docs, and I honestly can't remember when or who introduced me to 7 Up, but I know that we rented a VHS of it while I was in high school.
And you watched it with your parents?
Yeah, we watched it as a family.
Wow, that is super cool. And that's a sign of good parenting. Your parents should be applauded.
I'm not sure it was them who recommended it. To be honest with you, I don't know if it was a teacher at my school or if it's very likely it's one of the things my brother brought home from college. I will also say, like, as we walk past this location that we discussed earlier from Tower, one of the most important pieces of media, similar to Hardware Wars in a way, is something I owe to my brother Scott. When he went off to college, he brought back like a well-worn VHS tape of the Todd Haynes film Superstar,
yep. Which is the story of the Carpenters, and particularly Karen Carpenter.
The Karen Carpenter story rendered
with via Barbie dolls. And
That's right.
I remember that was the kind of thing that you could only see if you had like a dubbed VHS copy, because the Carpenter family and their agents and managers did not want that film out there because it was not a flattering portrait.
It was an unauthorized look into their world. It made strong use of the music of the Carpenters to tell the story, and those Barbie dolls start out, when you start watching that film, feeling a little bit like a gimmick, and very quickly transcend, and in a disarming way offer a really beautiful, heartfelt, humanistic story mechanism. And it's something that,
well, it becomes part of the narrative, right? Because she had an eating disorder and was so concerned about her image, and so to use Barbie dolls to talk about that is contributing to the narrative.
It works on many layers.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing that it did for me was that it showed me that you didn't have to take a kind of standard approach, right? That you could offer the world a multimedia understanding of narrative, even in nonfiction, which, you know, that film isn't pure nonfiction. It's an adapted, written, based on a true story perspective created by Todd Haynes. But it's something that like really got into my bones. And I would say I saw both of those films, 7 Up and Superstar, right around the same time.
Yeah.
So it probably was my brother that introduced it. I'm not really sure. So thanks, Scott, if that's the case.
Man, I love that.
But anyway, this deep dive into the gateway drug films for us as individuals and for the filmmakers that have graced this podcast with their time. I'm going to pretend like there are a whole audience of listeners out there who are actively engaging us in back and forth in conversation. I'm going to ask you guys to post in the comments your gateway drug film.
Yeah. We want to hear from you and what films you would like to hear us do a deep dive on and to talk about. Because I know for me, my gateway drug is Fast, Cheap, and Out of Control.
Oh.
The Errol Morris film.
Yeah.
I was living in Monterey, California. I had graduated high school recently. I didn't go straight to college. I had plans to be a novelist, although I didn't have any idea how to do that.
As discussed in episode 1.
Yeah. And I got a job at a movie theater, which was like the indie art cinema. It was 2 screens. And they played, you know, all these incredible films in 1995, 96. And Fast, Cheap, and Out of Control came through. And I remember watching it and realizing that documentary can suddenly take on this kind of larger meta narrative. So that film is 4 individual portraits. It's a scientist who studies mole rats. It's a lion tamer. It is a topiary gardener.
That's my favorite.
And then what is the 4th
I think it's
one?
3.
No, it's definitely a guy who's developing robots
Oh, that's right.
to be lifelike and human-like. And in telling the story of each of these 4 people and then supporting it with beautiful stylistic B-roll. Oh my gosh, look at this bird right here. Do you see that under the bridge? That is an enormous
That's
crane.
Like a heron.
Is that what that is?
Gonna make an attempt to spy on this beautiful, majestic bird.
Let's see, is this where Keith loses his camera? Yeah. I think you gotta bend down a little further. Oh, that's it. Oh, and it flew away. Oh, let's see if it comes out this side. It flew down the bridge, but didn't come out this side.
Well, who knows what we got on that one.
I thought for sure that was the end of our podcast.
Yeah. I don't think Skip Hobby and our friends at National Geographic have anything to worry about as far as Ben and I coming for their jobs.
That is the truth. So as I was saying about Fast, Cheap, and Out of Control, he takes these 4 individual portraits and weaves them together with this stylized B-roll and archival footage to be this meditation on what it means to be human and the human condition. But it's not any of these people commenting directly. There it is again. Man, that bird
Go
is
get it.
gorgeous. Okay, here. I'm on it.
Is it a heron? Is it an egret? Is it a crane?
Is it flying under the bridge? Oh, there it is over there.
I think it's a heron. You think it's a crane?
I just said crane because that's
That's what its neck is doing.
I don't know any better.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying egret?
Well, there is a thing called an egret.
There is. I've heard of that. And a heron. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I think
beak.
that's a blue heron or a gray heron.
That is a beauty.
All right, no telling. Well,
All right, we have officially crossed over into old man territory. If we weren't there already, we are solidly there now.
you know, Ben, I am 6 months shy of 50 years old.
Is that right?
It's a weird thing to say, because it doesn't seem true, and I don't necessarily believe it. But
Well, I turned 48 in 1 week from today. And yeah, that feels old. And also, I'm old enough to be, as Shane Gillis says, in my drop dead years.
ugh.
Like I could just fall over at any time and people would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not going to include Shane Gillis on the list of name drops for this episode. I'm just letting you know.
I love that guy's comedy. He's hilarious. But I think I'm definitely like old enough to be like, yeah, he lived a good life if I go tomorrow. But I'm still young enough that old people look at me and go, oh, you got a lot of time left.
Well, following up on the theme of Michael Apted's 7-Up, I wonder if this podcast will become a real document of two middle-aged white guys who can agree to disagree about bro culture, comedians, and other aspects of life here in Austin over the long haul. And so I hope that's the case. What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, like I told you from the beginning, I love doing this and I want to keep doing it. And I think the longer we do it, the better it will become, the more meaningful it will become, hopefully the more listeners we will have. And yeah, I'm on board for the long haul. So 15 down and 150 to go. Okay, we're coming to the end of our walk here, Keith.
I'd like to come to a rest under this incredible live oak tree because we've been talking about the linear nature of time, right? We're 15 episodes deep, and I just have no idea how many episodes this incredible specimen of live oak has offered the world or has experienced itself. But the sun is shining through the branches. The limbs are twisting in torment, as John Sloss once suggested on one of these episodes. And though time marches on,
That's
we
right.
still awake to a new day, ideally in the sun. I've enjoyed this little walk down the hike and bike trail and this walk down the history of DocWalks to date.
Me
Thank you,
too.
Ben.
And as always, I love doing these with you. I'm grateful that we get the chance to do this. I hope it's meaningful for anyone who's listening. And I'm looking forward to lots more podcasts together, Keith Maitland.
That's a good way to wrap things up. Ben thinks I'm cranky sometimes at the beginning of these podcasts.
Oh, I know you're cranky sometimes at the beginning of these podcasts.
But what he doesn't realize is it is just a churn of creative energy looking for an outlet. And thanks to this podcast, I found at least a kind of one.
I love that. If this makes you less cranky, then that's good enough for me.
So stay tuned for the next DocWalks. What's it going to be?
We haven't decided on, but let's just make a call and say it'll be Reed Harkness.
So next time on DocWalks, a stroll through the Boggy Creek Greenbelt with Reed Harkness, creator of Sam Now, a visiting Portlander, and great friend and even better person.
I can't wrap it up better than that. So stay tuned, everybody. Thank you.
We'll see you next time. DocWalks is created, produced, and edited by my friend Ben Steinbauer of The Bear.
Hello. And my friend Keith Maitland of Go Valley.
Thanks for tuning in.
Follow us at DocWalks Pod on Instagram, X, and YouTube.